Milk is one of those trolley autopilot buys. Grab the healthy one, feel good about it, move on. But what if the word healthy on the front is doing more work than the milk inside? Because in the chilled aisle and the long life aisle, a lot of these cartons are basically water, a tiny dose of the hero ingredient, then a stack of helpers to make it taste creamy, look smooth, and behave nicely in coffee. And sometimes, the risk is not even the ingredients. It's storage, it's labeling, it's cold chain. So today, Aussie Product Watchdog is running through the healthy milks that look clean at a glance, but fall apart the moment the label gets a proper read. This is a countdown, 7 to avoid, then 3 better picks that actually keep it simple. No drama, just what's on packs, what's on retailer listings, and what Australian notices and research have already put on the record. Alright, number 7. Woolworths Unsweetened Almond Long Life Milk, UHT, 1 litre. This is the classic budget health buy. No added sugar, vanilla-ish vibe, easy swap. Here's the first trap. The almond content is 2.5%, so most of the carton is water, and the almond part is basically a background character. Then look at what gets added to make 2.5% almonds feel like something richer. Stabilizers show up, including gellan gum and xanthan gum, plus cellulose, and that cellulose additive number is 466. There's also an emulsifier, lecithin, and flavor. None of that automatically means bad, but it is a signal. This is engineered texture, not just almonds and water. And if the goal is a simpler milk, this one is already telling on itself. Australian research has been digging into how common emulsifiers and thickeners are in the food supply, and why some people choose to limit them, especially when they're stacking across the day in ultra-processed foods. It's not a diagnosis, it's a shopper preference that shows up more and more in the evidence base around ultra-processed patterns. So the practical move here is simple. If the carton is selling clean, but the ingredient list has multiple texture builders and an emulsifier, it's not clean, it's designed. Next time, flip the carton and ask one question. Is this actually a milk alternative? Or is it a texture recipe built on water? Because once that's seen, number 6 makes a lot more sense. Number 6. Sanitarium So Good Unsweetened Almond Long Life Milk, UHT, 1 litre. This one feels like the trusted brand version. Same pitch, unsweetened, almond, better vibes. But the pattern is almost identical. 2.5% almonds again. Then you get the support crew. Emulsifier, sunflower lecithin, vegetable gum, gellan, plus added vitamins like B12, B2, and B1, and antioxidant ascorbic acid. Again, nothing here is illegal or shocking on its own. But if the reason for buying this is simple and healthy, the label is not simple. It's fortified and formulated. And here's the sneaky part. Because it's unsweetened, a lot of people assume it's automatically the best almond milk. But almond milk is usually low protein and often low in naturally occurring calcium unless fortified. So the healthy feeling is often coming from the story, not the nutrition reality. What to check next time? Look for the almond percentage first. Then check how many texture helpers are doing the heavy lifting. If it's water, small almond percent, plus gums and an emulsifier, that carton is built, not naturally rich. Number 5 is where it gets even more obvious. Number 5. Nuttelex Unsweetened Almond Long Life Milk, UHT, 1 litre. This one looks like it should be clean. Unsweetened. Everyday almond milk. But the label tells a different story. Almonds are 2.8%. Then canola oil appears. That's the creamy mouthfeel shortcut. Then an emulsifier, and in this one, it's listed as E471, plus vegetable gums like gellan and guar, and added vitamins. So now, it's not just water and almonds with texture help. It's water, a small almond dose, then added oil to mimic the fat body that dairy milk naturally has. This is where the healthy label vibe can trick the brain, because oil plus emulsifier plus gums is how a lot of ultra-processed textures get built across categories, not just milk. Australian researchers have written about how ultra-processed foods often rely on combinations of additives and processing to deliver mouthfeel and consistency, and why ingredient lists can be a better truth teller than front labels when something is wearing a health halo. The check is easy. If a carton is marketed like it's a clean swap, but it needs added oil and an emulsifier to feel like milk, it's not a simple swap. It's a designed beverage. And that matters if the whole point was less processed. Now, number 4 is the one most people don't even think to question, because it's everywhere. Number 4. Vitasoy Oat Milky Original, 1 litre. Oat milk is the king of the healthy cafe identity right now. It looks modern, it feels lighter than dairy, and people buy it because it seems like the safer, cleaner, everyday option. Here's the reality check. Oat milks often need help to taste creamy and behave like milk, especially in coffee. So when the ingredient list starts showing added vegetable oil, plus mineral salts, plus emulsifiers or gums, that's not random, it's the texture plan. And oat milk can be a big one for health story versus label story, because the front makes it feel wholesome, but the back often reads like a small food factory. What to check next time? First, find the oat content. If that number is not doing the heavy lifting, something else is. Second, look for added oils. That's a shortcut to mouthfeel. Third, watch for a long tail of emulsifiers, gums, stabilizers, or flavor. It's not a moral judgment, it's just the truth of what the product is. A formulated drink, not oats and water. And when the price is premium, it's worth asking what's actually being paid for. Now, number 3 is where the healthy claim collides with coffee culture. Number 3. Oatly Barista Edition Oat Long Life Milk, UHT, 1 litre. This is marketed straight at the coffee moment. Barista Edition, foams well, cafe at home. And that's exactly why it lands here, because barista usually means one thing behind the scenes, more engineering. This one lists water, oats at 10%, plus rapeseed oil, minerals like calcium carbonate and calcium phosphates, salt, and an acidity regulator. Again, totally allowed. But Barista Edition is not a wellness label. It's a performance label. And the performance often comes from added oils and processing tweaks that make the drink behave in heat, foam, and not split. So if the buy reason is healthy milk, barista products are often the wrong lane. They are built for coffee performance, not minimal processing. Australian research into how processed foods are formulated keeps circling the same point. The front of pack is a story. The ingredient list is the contract. If the contract includes added oil and multiple functional helpers, it's not a simple milk. It's a performance beverage. What to check next time? When a carton says barista, treat it like buying a tool. It might be great at its job, but don't confuse foams well with clean. Now we're halfway, so quick pause. Drop a random number between 1 and 99 in the comments. No reason, just curious. And if this kind of label breakdown helps, hit subscribe, because the next category is going to upset a few household favorites. Alright, number 2. Gippsland Jersey Pty Ltd. Unhomogenized Jersey milk, 750 milliliters and 2 liters. This one is the opposite of the additive story. It's the natural, premium, real dairy story. Unhomogenized, local vibes. Often bought by people who are actively trying to avoid overly processed options. So why is it on an avoid list? Because healthy doesn't protect anyone from food safety realities. In August 2024, Food Standards Australia New Zealand published a recall alert for this product due to microbial contamination, specifically Listeria monocytogenes, with a use-by date marking of 13 August 2024. That's not about additives, that's about risk. And the lesson is bigger than one brand. When a product is positioned as premium and natural, buyers often relax. They trust it more. They might store it differently. They might keep it longer. They might ignore that it's unhomogenized and needs proper cold handling. So the check for anything like this is strict. Always read the date marking. Always follow storage instructions. And if there's ever a recall notice tied to a product line, it's a reminder that small batch doesn't mean zero risk. This is not a scare line. It's a cold chain line. Now, number one is the one that genuinely deserves the word shocking, because it's not about a preference. It's about a labeling failure with serious consequences. Number one, inside out almond milk, unsweetened, 1 litre. And inside out oat milk, 1 litre. These products have been sold through Woolworths, and they're priced like premium, clean choices. The almond milk listing shows $5.50 for a 1 litre bottle. The oat milk listing shows $4.50 for a 1 litre bottle. Now here's why this lands at number one. In December 2025, the NSW Food Authority published details of court action where Inside Out Nutritious Goods was convicted and fined after incorrect storage labelling on almond and oat milk products. The core issue was refrigeration instructions. These products required refrigeration below 5 degrees at all times, but were labelled in a way that could be read as refrigerate after opening. That is not a small wording issue. That is the difference between safe storage and unsafe storage for a chilled product. This is where the healthy branding becomes dangerous, because it creates trust. And trust makes people stop double-checking. So the shopper lesson here is blunt. Never let the wellness vibe of a product override the storage label. If a product is in the chilled section, treat it like chilled, always. If something is long life, it belongs in long life. And if a brand has had a major storage labeling enforcement action, it's reasonable to step back and choose something else until trust is rebuilt. What to check next time for any milk, any brand? Where was it stored in the shop? Chilled or shelf? What does the storage line actually say, word for word? And does the packaging match the storage reality? Because this is exactly how healthy becomes a trap. Alright, not everything on Aussie shelves is trying to trick anyone. There are better picks that keep it straightforward and still do the job. Here are 3. First better pick, Woolworths Light Milk, 2 litres. This one is almost boring in the best way. The ingredient list is simply pasteurised and homogenized reduced fat milk. No gums, no emulsifiers, no oils, no performance chemistry, just milk. If dairy works for the household, this is what simple actually looks like. And it's a good reference point for everything else. If a healthy milk alternative is priced higher, but has a longer ingredient list than this, the buyer deserves to know that. Second better pick, Milk Lab Home Barista Oat Long Life Milk, UHT, 1 litre. This is still an engineered product, but at least it's honest and cleaner than a lot of the category. It lists Australian oats at 10%, water, vegetable oil, minerals like calcium, salt, and a mineral salt. That's it. No long chain of gums, no big list of additives. It's built for coffee, but it's not pretending to be a 2-ingredient miracle. So if oat milk is the preference, this is closer to a straightforward formulation. Third better pick, Vitasoy Unsweetened Almond Long Life Milk, UHT, 1 litre. This is still almond milk, so it's still mostly water, but the almond content is higher, listed as a minimum of 3.8%, and the ingredient list stays relatively tight. Water, almonds, calcium phosphate, sunflower lecithin, sea salt, natural flavour, and gellan gum. It's not just almonds and water, but it is a more honest version than the 2.5% crowd with bigger stabiliser stacks. Now, quick self-check tips to use in the aisle. First, ignore the front for 5 seconds and find the percent. If the hero ingredient is 2.5% or 3%, the carton is not almond milk in the way most people imagine it. It's water. with almond influence. Second, scan for added oils. If canola, sunflower, or rapeseed oil shows up, that's usually there for mouthfeel. If the goal is simple, oil is a flag. Third, count the texture helpers: gellan gum, xanthan gum, guar gum, cellulose, emulsifiers. One might be fine. A stack usually means the product is doing a lot of work to feel like milk. Fourth, be extra careful with anything labelled barista. Barista is performance, not wellness. Buy it for coffee, not for clean eating. Fifth, for anything in the chilled section, treat refrigeration as non-negotiable. Don't rely on assumptions. Read the storage line. Sixth, don't let unsweetened do all the convincing. Unsweetened does not mean nutritionally strong. Check protein and check calcium fortification if that matters. Seventh, remember the pattern. Healthy on the front often means either fortified, formulated, or both. That's not always bad. It just means the product is engineered, and the buyer should choose it with open eyes. So that's the takeaway. The repeated patterns are pretty clear. Health halos that hide tiny ingredient percentages. Creaminess built with added oils and emulsifiers. Coffee performance milks being mistaken for wellness choices. And, in the worst cases, storage and labeling issues that turn a healthy buy into a genuine risk. Shopping smarter isn't about fear. It's about reading what's actually there. If this saved a few dollars or prevented a dodgy habit, hit like, subscribe, and share it with a mate who always buys the healthy carton without turning it around.